This video is all about how to cost video production. Now, video production is so varied and there are so many variables involved in creating anything video based. So it really is a case of how long is a piece of string. But stick around because there are some generalities that will hopefully help you cost your next video project. Let's crack on. Before we start getting into the specifics of actual pricing and things like that, why should you even bother listening to me, right? Well, I've got 20 years experience in UK broadcast TV. I'm a DP, cameraman and producer. I'm also a business owner. I've had a business for over 15 years. And I've been trying in the last 3 years, been really steeped in the whole world of digital marketing, as I've been trying to leverage my professional experience in broadcast TV to help let businesses and real people leverage the power of video to help their businesses grow. I'm on a massive mission to help entrepreneurs, business owners and marketers alike help their businesses grow. So before you start getting into the whole cost debate, I would urge you to take a little step back and think about client lifetime value. How much is a client worth to you? Whenever you get a new client in, what do they tend to spend? And if you're selling physical products, for example, through an e-commerce store, what's your average cart value? And how often do your clients return? By doing this calculation, you then know how much you can spend on client acquisition, i.e. marketing. It'll also give you a sense of what kind of marketing you can do and at what level, what is sustainable for you and your business. For example, if your client lifetime value is £500, there's little point in you shelling out £700 for a print ad. It just won't be sustainable and you'll end up making a loss. Marketing at the end of the day should be an investment, not a net cost to your business. The whole reason we market is that we get clients in, obviously for a cost, and then we sell them our products and our services to make a profit. Now, if that's not happening and you're not getting an ROI on your marketing, if it's not providing ROI your marketing, then you need to ask yourself why. There's loads of different reasons, and here are a few of them. You may be targeting the wrong audience. You could be using the wrong medium, i.e. you could be targeting a platform that your clients actually don't use. It could be a question of the messaging, you might be saying the wrong things to the wrong people, or you could be spending more than your client lifetime value is worth. Or you may have no idea at all because you may not actually track your marketing data. The brilliant thing about video is it's very, very trackable. So it's very easy to work out, here's a video I created, I put it over there, these people watched it and some of those people bought my product or service, and you can join the dots all the way through the client journey. That's why video is so good. One of the reasons anyway, and I might be biased, I appreciate that. Now, you all understand, and I'm sure you get this, video is definitely not a cheap option. But like I said before, just now, video is very trackable, so you can get a sense of the ROI you're getting. Also, video can be used in all aspects of your business, from the kind of top of funnel awareness kind of stage, right through the customer journey, through your sales funnel, helping conversions and get people buying things, all the way right to the back end to your client follow-up. You can do some great things with video emails and stuff to create that know, like and trust, and to create the customer loyalty that will keep people coming back for more. You can also use video, of course, for external facing and internal facing communications. If you're using it internally, for example, you can use it to foster that sense of team, that sense of belonging and mission that you can create from doing something like a values film. And also, if you're getting new joiners involved, video is a really super powerful tool in terms of recruitment, but also onboarding. As well as that, of course, there are so many video stats demonstrating why video works so well for marketing. 33% better open rates in emails is one. Another one, 80% uplift in conversions if you embed a video on a landing page. You get longer dwell times on websites. So it really is a super powerful and flexible medium. And that's all very well, I can hear you say, but how much does it all cost? Well, let's dig down into the cost side of things. There's a basic rule of thumb which suggests you allow £1,000 per minute of finished film. Now that is a super rough estimate, so don't fall off your chairs just yet. That's based on per minute of finished film, so that would include crew costs, equipment costs, location hire. It would also take care of things like pre-production development, the production of the film, the editing of the film, and that often would be days of work, in some cases weeks. It also would include things like music licensing, stock footage licensing, graphics work. All of these costs would be bundled into that headline of £1,000 per minute. So let's look at some example budgets of popular video types. A brand video or a company story, you'd be looking at around about £4,000 upwards, depending on how long the video was or how many versions of it you needed. Product explainer videos you'd be able to produce from around about 3,000. Now broadcast ads, this will give you sort of a benchmark. They would start from around about 10,000 and go upwards to 500,000, maybe even more for those super high-end brand ads that you see at the Super Bowl, things like that. Social ads and content, you'd be looking at around £4,500 to create a suite of films that you can then release on your socials. But what about a basic shoot? What does that actually look like? Well, a basic shoot, so at the lower end of these price points, you'd be looking at something where there'd be one single camera, probably one crew member, there'd be minimal or no lighting, because obviously equipment hire costs money and equipment costs money too. You'd probably also be looking at minimizing the shoot day, the length of that. It may be based on a half-day shoot. On a basic low-end shoot as well, you'd be relatively restricted in terms of what you could achieve in the edit, in terms of the music you could use or the library footage and the graphics and all of that thing, simply because of the time they can afford to spend on your project, that's all. Also, for lower cost shoots, you'd have a minimal amount of pre-shoot planning or development. So if you're wanting to have your hand held more throughout the production process, then perhaps you need to be looking at a more kind of comprehensive service. So for example, some production companies will walk you through the whole pre-production development, script development side of things, then obviously sort out the shoot itself, then sort out post-production, and then also after that some people will then help you with the implementations side of things as well. Now that may not be what you need. You may have in-house people, you know, that's what I mean. It's actually horses for courses, and every job sadly is different, so it's very hard to be that accurate on these generalizations, because genuinely it really depends on what you're trying to create in terms of video, and also the goals you're trying to hit with them too. The takeout here really is that you need to think about how much help you require in terms of the development piece, but also the implementation, and that should really steer, if you're deciding to go down the commissioning route, the approaching a production company, that should be really steered by how much input you want them to give you. You could also go down the DIY route. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. You'd need to buy the kit yourself obviously, and setups vary, but I would budget from around about £1,000 upward for a basic vlogging kind of setup. And what you'd need would be obviously a camera, but that could be your phone. If you wanted to use a DSLR camera for a better quality picture, you'd then need lenses. You can get a kit, a DSLR kit, from around about £600. The tripod, obviously, because you want to keep the camera stable. A phone, one of those, would cost about £20. One for a decent one for a camera, about 60. Also, and this kills me because obviously I'm a cameraman, but you really need to make sure that your sound is super good quality. You can get away with ropey pictures a little bit, but you certainly cannot get away with rubbish sound, because you'll lose viewers in an instant. So a decent clip mic, a little tie mic, is around about £40, and a studio setup, or like a voiceover mic, you're looking at around 250. Also, you need to think about lighting. A basic kind of ring light setup you'll be able to get from about £90. And then of course we move into the whole editing side, the post-production side of things. You can obviously use free software. For example, if you're a Mac user, iMovie is probably absolutely fine. There are obviously versions for PC as well, but if you're producing lots of content, or you're thinking you're going to go into this on a more kind of sustained basis, I would suggest that you look at buying an entry-level editing piece of software, and they're available from around about £150 upwards. Actually though, the main cost element to all of the video production is time. because you need time. If you're going to go down the DIY route, you need time to upskill yourself in the elements of production. And plus, obviously, there'll be a monetary cost to any training you need. Also, you need to set aside time to research, write, and produce your content. You need to be producing video content that serves your audience, and you need to invest time in doing that. It needs to be engaging. It needs to give your audience value. You also need to understand who your audience are and who you're talking to, and the kind of messages that are going to land well with them. You need to invest time in creating customer avatars or customer personas. That takes time. Also, you need to understand what the business goals are for your videos too. There's no good just jumping behind a video camera and rushing off and filming something if you're not sure what you actually want the end result of the video to be. You need to invest time planning up front before you do any of that, so that you know the reason you're creating the video content in the first place. Again, this planning piece is so critical, so definitely invest time in doing that. Also, the other thing to say is that any of the platforms that you're uploading and sharing your videos on, all of them, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, the rest of them, they all require consistency of posting. They're wanting quality videos. They want videos to engage with their followers and their viewers. The bottom line for the platforms is they want to have engaged viewers on their platforms, so ultimately they can serve adverts up to them, right? That's why they exist. So you need to set up a sustainable workflow that will work for you, so that you're creating enough video content that you can be uploading. For example, on YouTube, if you're starting a YouTube channel, for example, you'll need to, for the first 6 months, the recommendation is that you're uploading twice per week. So that is a large quantity of work from a standing start. I absolutely appreciate that, but obviously the rewards are huge if you make that time commitment. So it is really critical that you set up a plan and you stick to it, and it's a plan that's workable for you, so you can keep creating that content on a consistent basis. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you got value out of it. There are loads more videos on our YouTube channel that I'd love you to have a look at. Also, please like, share and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. And if you know anyone who could make use of this resource, please point them in our direction. If there are any topics as well that you'd really like me to cover, please just ping me a message in the comments below. I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Take care, get creating, and I'll see you soon.